Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you want to know how to make the Fireman Gnome, stick around. I'll show you how. And if you want to see future videos, be sure and subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when I have a new video. Hey guys, what you're going to need for this gnome, you're going to need the pattern, and you can download in the description below. You're going to need some faux fur, a bead for his nose, you're going to need 4 corks, some little shoes from the Dollar Tree, you're going to need some weighted beads, some string, a 4.5-inch noodle by 2.25-inch noodle, some sticks, some beads for his hand, some noodles for his arm, a 3-inch ornament. You're going to need a couple little brads, some fabric, and you're going to need some craft foam. All right, let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to build his helmet, and we have a pattern in a PDF and an SVG file. If you have a Cricut, you can cut it out. I went ahead and did his helmet badge, and I put the vinyl on it. If you have a cutting machine, I've included the file. If not, you could just use the piece of paper that I got there, print it out, and Mod Podge it. Okay, first thing we're going to do on our ornament is we're going to cut the little loop off of it, and then we're going to start attaching our pieces. We've got 6 triangles, and we are going to space them evenly apart all the way around. Just glue them down really, really well all the way around. Just make sure that you get them as close together as you can so that they have an even space between them, because the pieces that we have to cover them up are made just for that. If you spread them out too far, you may have to recut your foam into bigger strips. So just be conscious to make sure that they're kind of spaced out evenly. Okay, then once we get those all glued on, then we're going to go ahead and trim them out to the edge of the ornament. So get them all glued down really, really good. Make sure that they're flush all the way around. And before we add these little strips, we're just going to cut it flush to the ornament. Go ahead and trim it out. And then we're going to do the same thing after we put our strips on, because they may be a little bit long, but I did that on purpose just in case you had to overlap at the top. So you're going to take your strips, going to put a little bit of glue on them, and we're going to go down each one of those little sections between those triangles. And again, if you overlap at the top, that's fine, because we are going to cover up the tip top with a round circle. Just make sure that you get them glued on there where you don't see any gaps between your triangles. And you should have 6 strips. All right, now that we got those all glued down, now we're going to take our circle. First of all, we're going to trim off the edges, and then we're going to take our circle and we are going to cover up the very, very top. Okay, then find a space where the triangle comes right in the middle, because you want a center spot. Just find a spot like right there, and that center is going to be right in the center of that triangle. And then when you pull this around, we're only going to go down about a 1/2 inch. This is an inch strip. We're going to go down a 1/2 inch, and we're going to glue it all the way around. And kind of pull it as you're going so it stretches a little bit, because you want to make sure that that stays really, really flush with that hat when you're looking at the top of it. So just go ahead and stretch it a little bit, not too much, but you can stretch that craft foam just a little bit. And we need it to be stretched so that we can meet in the back. All right, keep going all the way around. And get that glued in there good. And that's going to be the ledge that's going to hold our little brim on. And so once you get your brim on, you really don't even have to glue the brim on. That ledge is going to hold that in there snug. And then when we put our little emblem on the front of it, it'll hold it in as well. All right, and then our little, the back part is the longer part, and that's going to go to the back. Just make sure that it's right in the center. The front is right in the center of a triangle. And then we're going to take our ornament, and we are going to put these little brads in it. Just to kind of give it a little decoration like it's attached with brads. Just push those through, bend them over in the back. And I'm just using the little mini brads. And you can get those at Michael's, Hobby Lobby. A lot of craft stores have those. Okay, after you got those down, we're going to go ahead and glue it down. We're going to glue the bottom edge first. Just right up against the ledge of that brim, and then we're going to put a little bit of glue in the back just to hold it down a little bit more. Okay, and while that's drying, we're going to go ahead and make his jacket. We're going to take a 5" by 11" rectangle. We're going to take some craft foam and the yellow is going to be 1/2" by 12" and the gray is going to be 1/4" by 12". We're just going to hem up the bottom of the jacket all the way across, only the bottom. We don't have to worry about the top because the top is going to be hidden by the hat or the helmet. Okay, we're going to go ahead and hem that, and then we're going to hem the 2 sides as well. And in the pockets, we're going to take 4 2" squares, and 2 of them are going to be for the pocket and 2 of them are going to be for the flap. So once you get the jacket all hemmed up, we're going to go ahead and build our pockets. All right, now that you got that one finished, we're going to go ahead and put that aside, and we're going to go ahead and build our pockets. And we are going to hem them up a 1/4 inch all the way around. And we're going to do that to all 4 squares. And we're going to use 2 of the squares for the pockets, and we're going to use 2 of the squares for the flaps. So go ahead and do them all the way around at 1/4 inch, and then after we're done, we're going to take all 4 squares and try to find 2 that match, because they will be seen side by side on the front of the jacket, and the other 2 we'll use as the flaps. So they'll just go ahead and continue to go all the way around, and then the 2 flaps, we're going to take those squares and we're going to fold them in half. So there'll be like a 1" square for the top part. And we're going to attach that just to the top part of the pocket. And then when we attach our pockets to our jacket, we're just going to come in 1 1/4 inches on both sides to attach our pockets. Okay, find out 2 squares that match. And then the other 2 are going to be the flaps. And we're just going to take our flaps and we're just going to fold them over and fold them in half. And we're going to do that to both sides. And then we're going to attach those to the top part of the pocket. So just add a little bit of glue at the top of the pocket and attach that flap on there. And do the same thing for the second one. And then we're going to start building our jacket. We are going to put our reflectors on there. So we're going to start with the yellow. And we're going to come up a 1/4 inch from the bottom so that the red still shows out the bottom of the jacket. So just straight across there, and again, that's a 12" by 1/2" strip. And then we're going to come over the top of that one with the gray strip, and it's a 1/4 inch strip, and we're just going to come right down the middle and attach that right down the middle of that yellow strip, all the way across. And then we're just going to trim that piece off. And then we're going to go ahead and attach our pockets just right on top of that line, about 1 1/4 to 1.5 inches in. Put a little bit of glue on the back and then glue that down. And then we're going to come back in with our second layer of reflector strips, and we're just going to go right above the pockets about 1/4 inch. And we're going to put our yellow strip down just like we did below. And then we're going to put our gray strip right over the top of that, right down the center of that one, just like we did the other one. We're going to use several reflectors in this video. We've got them for the legs, we've got them for the arms, and we have them for the jacket. They just come straight down the center and then glue that down. And then we're going to trim those pieces off. Then we're going to come back in and we are going to gather the top edge of the jacket, and we're just going to gather right between the 2 pockets along the top edge, and we are going to make about 1/4 inch stitches, and we're just going to go in and out all the way across just between those 2 pockets. And we're doing this just to give it a little bit more fullness in the back. Instead of being flush with his body, we're trying to give it a little bit more open, like it is a jacket, not just a top. So just go across there, and we're going to gather that up. Once we got that gathered up, we're going to go ahead and pull our noodle in, and we're just going to make sure that we have it enough gathered so that it'll work. And then we're going to go ahead and take the jacket back off, and we are going to go ahead and hem up the 2 sides again. We're just going to kind of trim it out so you don't see the edge of the reflectors of the craft foam. Just go in about 1/2 inch. And that way the reflector part will be on the inside of the jacket, not the outside, and it'll have a nice crisp edge on the jacket itself. So just about a 1/2 inch in on both sides. Hem that up really well. Make sure that dries, and then we're going to stick that aside, and we're going to go ahead and start building his pants. We're going to take our 2 pieces of fabric, and we're going to put the inseams together. So we are doing the top part only, not all the way down the leg yet, just the 2 top part inseams on both of them. And then we are going to open those up with our facing sides together, and we are going to glue down both sides. So facing sides together, because we are going to turn this right side out, and it will finish out the edge. Okay, so we're just going to go up both sides of these pants. Glue them down, and make sure you have enough glue so it stays glued when you turn it right side out. And we're just going to do the opposite side as well. These are our 2 sides. And then we're going to come in, and we are going to do the bottom inseam all the way around. And just make sure that you have your fabric lined up really well. Your seams match. And go all the way around there. Glue that one down. And that's the inside of the leg. And the same thing with the other side. And glue that down as well. And just make sure you got enough glue to hold that together. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put those aside, and we're going to go ahead and build the arms. We're going to take our noodle. We are going to cut it in half with our scissors. Then we're going to come back in, and we are going to cut it with the wire cutters. Okay, then we're going to take our wire out, and we are going to cut off about 1/4 of an inch, or say a 1/2 inch at the top. And then we're going to glue that back in to the bottom. Just a little bit of glue and push that on in there. Just to make sure that stays. And then we're going to do the same thing for this side. We're just cutting off where it bends over at the top. Because we were going to put a stick in there. That's why I have those little sticks in there. But I changed the pattern in the middle, and I will show you what I did in a little bit. You're going to use pipe cleaner instead. Okay, we're going to hem up the bottom part of the arm and the side of the arm. And we're going to do that on both of them. And when we roll our arm up into these, we're not going to roll it tight. We're going to roll it over, and then we're going to place the other side onto that. So when we roll it up, put a little bit of glue at the top, roll it up, and then we're going to take our seam side and go over the top of that. Just lay it right over the top of it. Do not make them tight, because you want to be able to get that little ball in there for his hand. Kind of a loose fitting jacket sleeve. And then same thing for the other side. Glue that down, roll it over, and then just lay that side over the top of it, making it loose. And then we're going to go ahead and put a dollop of glue in the end of it, and we're going to add our little balls. And I'm using 15mm balls because I think that they look the best with that size of an arm. Get those on in there, and we're going to put those aside, and then we're going to finish out his pants. We're going to take the pants, and we're going to hem them up 1/4 of an inch all the way around the bottom. You don't have to worry about hemming up the top, because it's going to be covered up with the jacket, and we're just going to put a string around his waist to hold him on. So 1/4 of an inch hem all the way around, just one hem up, and then the same thing for the opposite side. Just 1/4 of an inch hem. Okay, now that you got those hemmed up, we're going to go ahead and turn it right side out. And then we're going to start building his legs. And the sticks I'm using for his legs, I'm using 1/4 inch by 4.5 inch sticks. And then the corks, they are 1 7/8 by 1 7/8 by 3/4 of an inch. And I use synthetic. I know a lot of you ask me what kind of corks I use. I use the synthetic ones because you can drill a hole through those pretty easily without them breaking. So we're going to just attach 2 of our corks to each stick, line them up, and then we're going to go ahead and glue them together. And we're not doing a casing around his leg like a lot of times I do. Instead, we're going to put some duct tape at the top. So we're going to go ahead and glue our corks together so they stay together. And then we're going to go ahead and attach them to our noodle. Go ahead and push them in there. And then I always take another tool to go a little bit farther because they're not going all the way in there. Just push that all the way opening and then put those on in there. Make sure that they're lined up, everything's straight. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take those off, and we're going to add duct tape. And we're just going to take a piece of duct tape or wrap it around the top part. Kind of like we do with the fabric if you watch some of my other videos. And we're just going to cut some slits in the top, and that's what's going to hold it to our noodle. And this will just keep its legs from moving around too much and coming out. It's just an extra security precaution just to make sure nobody pulls his legs off. Okay, so just bend that back, and then we're going to add glue inside the noodle hole where our leg goes. Push it on in there, and then we are going to glue the duct tape down. Okay, and this doesn't have to be precise because, again, the pants are going to cover it up. It's just kind of making sure that the leg stays onto it. Just duct tape it down. And I'm putting glue. I mean, you don't have to put glue with the duct tape, but you know, it may give after a while, so I am just going to go ahead and glue it. So go ahead and wrap that around the top part and just cut your slits, and then we'll do the same thing that we did for the other leg. Just pull those on back, and we're going to add glue inside the hole, and then we're going to stick our stick in there and then glue our little tabs down. Just make sure your legs are straight. A little bit of glue and then flap those down, and that'll hold his legs in there really, really well. All right, and while that's drying, we're going to go ahead and do his shoes. And we're using the Dollar Tree Party Favor shoes, the little baby shoes. I'm just going to go ahead and trim around the black card craft foam, and that's going to be the sole of our shoe. So just go ahead and make a circle all the way around. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to trim around the edge with another strip, and it'll cover up anything that you didn't get right. So just try to get it as close as you can. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and take some weighted beads, and we're going to fill our little shoes up. Try to get as much as you can in there, pushing it on in there. And then do the same thing for the other side. And I tell you what, these really, the weight of this whole pattern worked out really, really well. I had no weight issues once I got it put together. Okay, so go ahead and add tape to the top of that, just to make sure that those beads don't come out. And then we're going to start building our shoes. And I did bake the shoe pattern out of craft foam, and it's 2mm craft foam. And you can stretch it. This piece here in the front, you are going to stretch. And I kind of did this a little bit backwards. I put those two pieces on the front because I was going to wrap them. And then, like I did one other time before, I made the shoes backwards. And I put this in first and the back on back. And I remembered it right after I put these on. So now I'm going to attach the back part because I want it to go first and the front part to overlap that. So go ahead and glue your back piece in. And then we'll put the front part and overlap it. And then I have some bigger pieces that I was going to put on the top part, but I did go back and I cut those down into half, and I did change that in the pattern. Just glue that in. And then our front flap will cover it. And on the front flap, you are going to have to stretch it down, pull it on down to there, and glue it in. But you will have to stretch that part. And it'll stretch, no problem. But just make sure that you get it glued all the way down, flush with the bottom. And then our little strip will cover all that up. And you're not going to tear the craft foam. Just go ahead and stretch it on down there. And you'll have a little bit of puckering on the front, but our little piece of trim will cover it up. Go ahead and add glue to the bottom, and we're going to add our sole. And then we're going to put that aside, and we're going to finish our other shoe out as well. Again, you're going to stretch that on down to the bottom. Glue that in real well, and do the same thing for the opposite side. And then glue that side in. And then we're going to go ahead and add our sole to this one as well. Just a little bit of glue. And try to get around the edge part of the top, just to make sure it holds in good. Okay, then we're going to take our little 1/2 inch strip, and we are going to start in the middle, and we are going to stretch it on around. And go ahead and stretch it so that it does stay flush with the shoe. Put a little glue and then stretch it on down there and go all the way around. And then we're going to have to do a little bit of trimming in the back, but better have too much than too little when you get there. And then we're going to go ahead and trim that off because we want those to come flush to the back, our seams, and clip that off there, and then go ahead and glue it in. And we're going to put that aside, and we're going to do the same thing with the other one. Start in the very center, along the bottom edge, and stretch that all the way around there to the back. Trim it off and then glue it down. And then we're going to trim out the edge with this 1/2 inch piece. Just go all the way around just to kind of give it a nice trimmed out edge. Not that you're going to see it anyway when you put your pants over it, but it does, but you know it's there, so it trims it out nicely. And stretch that on around there, and we're going to do the same thing with the other shoe. You could make boots if you wanted to tuck his pants into his boots. Just make that strip, that 1/2 inch strip taller. And then you could tuck his pants into his boots if you wanted to do that. All right, then we're going to go ahead and put his pants onto his body because we can't put his shoes on, then put his pants on because it won't work. Okay, go ahead and take his body and attach his pants. And we're just going to tie a string around his waist, and then we're going to go back around the waist and we're going to glue it in. So pull his pants on up there, tie the string around it, and then we're going to come back with glue, and we are going to just glue around the top edge all the way around his waist. Trim that off. And then you don't have to put a lot of glue, just a little bit of glue. Just lightly go around it because you don't want to melt your noodle too bad. Okay, then we're going to pull his pants legs up and we're going to attach his shoes. And we're going to put glue, we're going to glue those in. So put a bunch of glue inside of his shoe and make sure it's pushed all the way down on that cork. And then we're going to go ahead and tuck his pants back out over the top part of his shoe, and then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. And then he's going to get a reflector just like the jacket around the bottom edge of the shoe. So we're just going to take our reflector, our yellow that's 1/2 inch by 12, and our gray one that's 1/4 inch by 12, and we're going to trim these out. So we're just going to go around the bottom part of his leg on his pants, and we're going to glue this to his pants leg. Just pull it on in there, get your seam in the back, trim it off, and then we're going to glue it in. And I left about a 1/8 of an inch of the red showing on the bottom. I didn't go flush with the bottom of the pan. I just went up a little bit, probably about an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch up. And then go ahead and glue that all down. And this craft foam, it really glues well and it does not come apart. Trust me, it doesn't come apart because I tried to pull one apart on a mistake that I made and forget it. I had to throw it away and redo it. Okay, pull that on around because we want our seam in the back. And you don't have to put a lot of glue on his pants, just enough to get it down. And then go all the way around, trim it off so we have a nice flush edge, and then glue that down. Okay, next what I did is I came back in with some craft foam and I did some little knee pads. So make sure his knees are flat. And I just cut off a rectangle and put it over the top and just glued it in. And that's just a little knee pad. I'm just using the craft foam on that. I'm not even sure what size those were. I think they were like maybe an inch wide by half an inch tall. Then we're going to go ahead and attach his jacket. And we're going to overlap the front. So we're going to go ahead and gather up our back. And then leave enough to overlap the two front flaps. And then we're going to tie off that knot where we have our gathered. Once you get all that tied off, then we're going to go ahead and attach the back part of the jacket first, and then we're going to come around the front and attach the rest of it. So just lay it up there on top of his noodle. We're going to come down right to the edge, glue that in, make sure your pleats are even, and then go ahead and wrap it around, and we're going to glue it down. You do this side to the noodle. Make sure it stays straight there. And then we're going to glue it to his pants, and we're going to glue it to the noodle. And that's going to be the front, and then the other one is going to overlap it, and then just glue that down. And then we're going to glue along the top, the lower edge of the jacket to the pants, just so it doesn't leave too much stress pulling on the front, and that way it'll relax a little bit more. And then you can add a little bit of glue to the back lower edge as well. All right, now we're going to go ahead and finish out his arms. We're going to go ahead and take those pipe cleaners and cut them in half, twist them, and we're going to stick it halfway down into that noodle. And you don't have to glue it there because we are going to glue the fabric to the pipe cleaner at the top edge, so that when we put our arm into our jacket, it will be sealed off. So just take that pipe cleaner and push it halfway down into that noodle. And then we're going to hold it up to the body to see where the arm reflectors are going to go, because we need them to be in line with the jacket reflectors. So go ahead and we're going to glue that down to the pipe cleaner at the top. And then tuck that on down. And then we're going to go ahead and bend them to see where they need to go on the arm, onto the body, so we can figure out exactly where our reflectors go. Now we're going to go ahead and attach our beard. We're going to go ahead and take the beard, cut behind the faux fur only. We're going to go ahead and do the beard before we do the arms, because we're going to make sure the hat goes on, and we're going to figure out exactly where the arms are before we cut our holes. Okay, we're going to take our beard, and we're going to attach it right to the top edge. And then we're going to attach his hat and see exactly where his arms are going to go before we put them on. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take the arms, and we're going to go ahead and add our reflectors to them. We're going to go along the bottom edge, and then we're going to go halfway up in the middle. And we're going to make it in line with where the jacket, the top jacket reflector is where we're going to line it up with the arm. So go ahead and add glue there. We're going to wrap it all the way around with our seam in the back. And again, this is the same size reflector. It's a 1/2 inch on the yellow, and it's 1/4 inch on the gray. And we're going to do the same thing for the other one. I know there's a lot of steps in this one, but it'll be worth it in the long run when you finish. It's just, but it is a lot of steps. It's not difficult, but it is a lot of steps in this gnome pattern. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and figure out exactly where they need to go, so we can figure out exactly where our second reflector goes, and it goes right there. We're going to wrap that around, glue it down. Just make sure that they do land in line with your jacket. And you want to compare your arms and make sure that they both have the stripe in the same location. And put them equal to each other. Okay, we're going to glue that on in. And then we'll attach the arms to the body. And we're going to poke a hole into the side of the noodle and the jacket to put that arm in. Okay, now that we got those arms done, we're going to go ahead and bend them. And we're going to stick that into the side of the jacket. Figure out exactly where you want your mark because you only can poke a hole once. Poke a hole on in there, and we're going to add glue, and we're going to go ahead and add that arm in there. Make sure that your seam does face the body though. Just double check your seam because you don't want the seam to be shown. And then we're going to go ahead and glue a little bit around the top part on that one and hold it in a little bit just to get it dry. And then we're going to go ahead and bend his arm a little bit to release a little bit of the tension off of it. And then we're going to go ahead and insert the other arm on the other side. We're just going to kind of make sure it's on the same length and poke our hole, add our glue, and then we'll put our arm in. All right, now we got our arms in. We're going to go ahead and attach our hat. We're just going to put glue around the top edge of our beard, and we're going to lift our hat up over it and glue that in. And we're going to put a little bit of glue underneath the back part of the hat, just a little dollop of glue on the back part, and then we're going to go ahead and attach his nose, and we're going to lift it right up underneath the hat. We're going to glue it and lift it underneath the hat, so the hat's sitting on top of the nose. All right, nothing to it. And if you want to go ahead and add the hose like I did, I went to the Dollar Tree and I found a little fire hydrant, and I'm just using the nozzle from it only, and then I'm using one of the yellow hair noodles. I'm just gluing it right in to make it look like a hose, and then I'm going to attach it to his body. I'm going to come up and bend it, put it underneath his arm. I'm going to glue his hand to the front part of it, and then I'm going to glue the rest of the noodle around to the back of his body. Okay, so just pull that on around there, just a little bit of glue to hold it onto his back. And there you have it. A cute little fireman gnome. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. If you want to be notified when I have another video, hit the bell. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.